Hello. Welcome to the Valkyrie, Art of Valkyrie presentation. I'll pass this on. My name is Andrew Robinson, aka CCP Terror Shark, and I'm a 3D artist on the Valkyrie project. I was also here last year. Some of you might remember me as a disheveled, half-asleep man who worked on EVR. I was craning around in the background trying to find out what you all thought of EVR and get you to tweet about it and talk about it on Facebook, and just generally trying to get the project off on the ground. So we do owe everyone at Fanfest a huge, huge round of applause for everything they've managed to do to turn EVR into Valkyrie. So hit me, please. I'm looking for a really big, I'm looking for some crowd participation today because I'm really nervous. And I'm up here by myself, and I want to be up here with all you guys. So if you can give me some help, that'd be great. Have people tried Valkyrie today? Yeah? How's the feel? Come on. Wow. Luke. Thanks for that. Really turning it around. That's great. Thanks very much. Okay, one more thing then. One more pantomime trick. All the guys from Newcastle office are watching back home. Can you please give them a massive thank you for all the hard work they've done to get this project here today? Thank you, CCB Newcastle. You're all incredible. Thank you. Okay. So Valkyrie, this is it. This is what EVR has become. Today, I wanted to show you lots and lots of art. I want to show you lots of eye candy, but I'm a little bit restricted. I can't show you any of the other ships that we're thinking about doing, any other cockpits we're thinking about doing. I can only really show you pieces that were in the build today. And Owen O'Brien stole all my good stuff for yesterday for his presentation, so I've had to hoover up as much little goodies as I can. But what I also want to talk to you today about is the philosophy of Valkyrie and VR, and what we're doing to try and make this game more than just a game. It's also an experience. It's something that you go into and really live Valkyrie. It's not just a game, to me anyway, and how we're doing that with content creation to try and make a more immersive experience. This is the vision of a virtual world for Eve. So to start that, this is the most important thing for me. While we were doing interviews last year and I was speaking to a lot of press and stuff about EVR, I started using the term in-person perspective. And our lead designer, Chris Smith, when he joined the project, I spoke to him about it, and he has a thing called pillars. And the pillars are pieces of Valkyrie that we should always uphold. They're 10 commandments that are in the stone that we should always look at and we should always make sure Valkyrie adheres to. And he decided to use in-person perspective as one of those pillars. And this is something I printed out. I've got it next to my desk. I have it on my wall. I look at it every day. And this is to remind me that Valkyrie isn't a game you play as someone else. It's a game you play as yourself. And everything we do and all the content we create needs to come from that same place. It needs to come from behind here, not out here. So, hold on a second. Oh, there we go. That's correct. Sorry, messing up my slides. So the beginning, EVR, the project we made last year. I'm not going to spend too much time going over this because people have seen it, people have heard about it. We've moved past that now. We're on to Valkyrie. We're on to a new thing. But I just wanted to show one slide just to see how far it's come as you watch the progression through this presentation. You can see the UI and the way the cockpit looked and how things were. Like, it was great for the time, but we've taken it so much further. I asked my fiance to dig these up at home for me and send them over as a photograph just so I could let you see the birth of Valkyrie almost, or the birth of EVR certainly. As we were talking in the pub and coming around with the idea, and it was leading up to Fanfest last year, I just started sketching on napkins, on sketchbooks and things. You can see over here, the cockpit looks kind of like the cockpit looked at that time. I can't believe it's turned out from being this beer napkin sketch into this huge game. I mean, it's sprawled all over Reykjavik right now. We've got characters and Valkyrie and banners, and it's just incredible to me. But you can see some of the ideas we were talking about, some of the things that got in, the ships, some of the things that never made it, indoor environments, crazy wormholes with post-processing. But you never know, we might make it happen. Since you are an entertaining crowd, and you do like a shout out, I know Katie's watching at home on ETV. I've dodged all the responsibility of my upcoming wedding to work on Valkyrie to make sure it was here today for Fanfest. So if everyone could just say, thank you, Katie, that would be amazing and would completely void all the millions of hours I should have been doing wedding planning and stuff. So 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Katie!
There you go, love. That one is for you. Thank you so much, guys. You're the best crowd. That's amazing. Okay, so the first real sketch, a real sketch. One of the very talented concept artists here, Eve Reykjavik, painted this up for me. Just knocked it out super quick. Is this the kind of thing you're thinking of, Andy? Is this, turned that beer mat sketch into this? And wow, yeah, it was exactly what I wanted. And you can see, as you look through the game, that it was an inspiration for a long, long time. Into how the feel of Valkyrie kind of came along. Yeah, this is an early screenshot from obviously pre-texture and pre most of the stuff, but you can see where like some of the UI and stuff, we tried to fit that stuff in, and the holographic panels and the kind of shape and sense of the cockpit itself. So it was a real inspiration. And so I just got a quick couple of renders. I've got to show you some eye candy. So this is the interior wings of the old Templar. And the reason I put these in the slide was just because it was the time around when I first started to think about the philosophy behind this game and not just the art, because the art pipeline is actually incredibly similar. Like there's not really a huge amount of difference in the way that I create 3D assets or I texture 3D assets, or even that I really put the assets in the game. The biggest difference for me was a change in mindset, a change in the way that I worked and how I thought about my work. And the Eve assets that we were taking, obviously we had to rework to work in that first-person perspective. We wanted people to see all of the details, every single piece of detail they could using the VR technology. So this is when we started to look at remaking out these wings and just really trying to get people immersed in it as much as possible. The Templar was a perfect choice. The wings that extended out forward in front of you kind of cocooned you around. You could look right inside all the gubbins and all the machinery and all the stuff that was around. So this is when I really, as I say, began to consider what it would be to make a VR game beyond just making assets, but really how are these assets, how do they need to change to make a VR game? So this is the Templar one. Also have the wings of the Ernibidji, or Ernibidji. I never could quite get the pronunciation of this Mimitar fighter. We remade those up. Okay. So how does Valkyrie fit into the Eve universe? It's a good question. Took us a while to figure out. Something we really needed to pin down, something we needed to understand if we were going to make this more than just a show floor demo. If we were going to make it into something that would extend over 3 minutes. So essentially, the aesthetic of Valkyrie is still based in the Eve universe. I don't think you guys would have it any other way. I think it needs to have that source. It needs to have somewhere to come from. And the Eve lore and the background and the art is such an incredibly strong part of the game that you couldn't ignore it. Like, we wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't want to make it anywhere else. It fits perfectly in the universe. But we did need a twist. we did need something for ourselves, something to call Valkyrie, and something very unique to us. So that's when we started thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Where does Valkyrie fit within the EVE universe? This was the answer. Guristas, pirates, rebels, bad people, good people, immoral people, whatever you want to call them, they were perfect for Valkyrie. So imagine this. EVE Valkyrie is EVE under a macro lens. We spend all of our time in ships far away, having fights far away, moving around. What we're trying to do is bring EVE inside those cockpits. Make EVE personal for people. Try and bring them in as much as possible. This is where we would get the content to make the immersive world. So let's talk pirates. The pirate subculture is something that, as soon as I moved to Newcastle to continue the game, I began to work on. It's something that's absolutely come to define and build the foundation for all the content creation team here. Who are the pirates? What do they do? What's their role? How does their world work? Even if we never actually explain it to you guys in a trailer or go and write books about it or whatever it is, it's very important to me that the content creation team in Newcastle understand everything about the people they're creating content for. Because in this world, this personal world, where we're under the macro lens of EVE, every detail counts. And this is the big step towards personalizing the EVE universe for us. So it does have a strong readback to pirate lore. And I don't mean tropes or stereotypes of pirate lore, because there's no rum, there's no peg legs, there's no parrots. Sorry? Why is the rum gone? I have no idea. I put a note here somewhere. Let's put rum back in the game. I'll write that down. We'll get rum back in the game. I'm up for that. 100%. Sold. But yeah, it's a really strong theme to pull from, even if you don't use the stereotypes. They're not bad. They're not good. They're just really self-indulgent people. They do what they want. Doesn't make any difference. They also have a strong sense of family, a strong sense of community. I think that's very important with the type of game that we're making, especially a multiplayer game, that we try and have this built in. Aggression and camaraderie is basically what it boils down to, what I've been thinking about a lot, and what's better for a multiplayer game than aggression and camaraderie. It's about killing other people with your friends. So the subculture of the pirates, for me also, is a collective of people that grows and amalgamates. As it says up there, a little group like the warriors with their own values, their own set of distinctive, their own feel about them. And they'll also pull in cultural stuff from EVE, from the EVE universe, but just take what they want from it, discard what they don't want from it. And as Valkyrie begins to grow, we'll see the pirate subculture grow as well. So we'll watch the pirates change and bring in new ideas and new pieces that will ultimately change the cockpits and the environments and the places around you. The virtual worlds that you explore is not something set in stone from day one, but will change and maneuver and be dynamic around where we're working. So Valkyrie pilots. This is the next thing I began to think about. Who are the Valkyrie pilots? What do they do? So they're born from pain, from scrap cloning tech. They're not born from the really well-functioning cloning tech, but for me, it feels to be more something like Wolverine in the adamantium bath, rising out in pain, just in anger, just ready to attack, just ready for something brutal. That's what Valkyrie pilots are to me. So we started thinking about their emotional state a little bit. Like, they've just been stolen from the EVE universe. They've become a Garista pirate. How do they feel about that? What's their, what do they want to do? What is their motivation in this new world? Why would they do anything for these people that have stolen them away? Do they want to be the best? Do they want to be the most aggressive? Do they want to escape from the world? Are they going to go along with the plans? And I wanted to think about all this stuff because all this stuff is so important, again, in bringing the content together and making the artists and the audio artists and the VFX and all the things that we do have personality, have feeling. It needs to come from a place. So how does this translate to the player base? Well, the first thing that I thought was every pilot is unique. Every person that puts on the headset and plays Valkyrie is the best pilot in the universe. That's yours. You can take that away because in our world, you are the pilot. And so this is something for you to, this is incredibly personal for you. For me, it's similar to, as an artist, someone who sets up his own hotkeys for applications and Photoshop and 3D programs and such. Like, I want the cockpit to feel, when you drop in it, that it's something that you control, something that you've had a craft over building, even if you never built it yourself. And even if we don't get into being able to modify the cockpits and change things around and customize them straight away in the first build of Valkyrie, and I really hope to do that at some point in the Valkyrie line. But I want you to feel like it's yours, like it's something that's been lived in before and you're the person that's been living in it. But I also started to head away from that because I don't want you to pick a pilot and a ship like it's F-Zero and you're picking Captain Falcon or one of these kind of guys. So I started thinking the cockpits are our characters. This is probably one of the most pivotal things, I think, in Valkyrie. The cockpits are our characters. I'm going to show you some concept art here from that we got in from our for the cockpits, and we're looking at 3 different moods, 3 different styles here. The first one going from sort of the simplest tech to more advanced tech. So this is the one we ended up going closest for. The feel that this used to be a ship. This used to be a manufactured EVE ship, and it's just been covered in aftermarket stuff. Someone's built this. This is the hotkey existence. Someone's built around this and customized it to the way they feel, the way they want it to be. We have another 2 to show you as well. They're of increasingly messy construction. One of the reasons we didn't really go down this road was there's a lot of like tactile buttons here and kind of helicopter style. I don't really want people to be able to reach out and touch all the buttons or feel like they could touch all the buttons. Like we had to find that blend between current and future. It's a third one here. It's great examples of holographic panels and things, but I'd say it's probably this one and the first one that made the cockpit that you're playing in today. So cockpits also have interface, and people have been asking me about this all weekend. It's an incredibly difficult piece of the puzzle for us to get right, the HUD and the interface. The key is we want it to feel contextual. We want it to feel like the ship and you are together, and it's reacting to everything you do. As you look around, as you find ships, as you attack people, as you fire missiles, you need more missiles, your ammo counters, all these things, it should feel as if they're relaying directly into you, and not a game overlay. That's hugely important. What we've been trying to do is, as it says here, represent the mechanical process of the ship through the HUD and through the interface. So as we played it today, you've seen the missile lock and the locking down. That's all supposed to really envision how the missiles are coming through the ship and the mechanical process that's happening right underneath you. And this has been visualized for you as the pilot, front and center in your ship. So I've got a nice little thing of placeholder stuff we did for the new holo ship. You've seen the holo ship in the build today. You've seen it in the footage. It's a very placeholder asset. It's something we're just starting to get around to, but this is the kind of vibe, this is the kind of feel that we're looking for. So the holo ship just appearing out of a point cloud just because you focused on that ship in VR. Just because you've picked that ship with your mind, it pops up in your display in your cockpit. So I've got one of the old prototypes here for the missiles and how the missiles work, if you haven't seen it today. But this is really the reinforcement I was talking about of the mechanical processes that we're going through in an attempt to so you can feel the ship behind you. You can feel the ship underneath you. You want it to feel like it's doing the things. It's very supported by the audio as as these missiles clunk into place and you lock them down on your targets and you release them down on your targets. It's all very visceral. It's all very real, and that's what we're trying to get to. I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about the missile lock. Last year for EVR, when we did testing initially, we found that people just really looked directly forward all the time. We were giving people the kits. We knew that they could move their head everywhere, all around, but they never seemed to do it. They just kept playing, and it's something that seems to be born of just playing on a flat 2D screen for so long that you forget that you have this ability. You get that you're able to look around. And that's how the missile lock was born for us. We needed to force people to look around, to use their head, to grab those missile targets, to grab people out of the air. And it's worked incredibly well. I'm really pleased with the way that people have latched onto this as something it's really been a promotional thing for VR. It's really sold VR to everyone who's tried the game, where they realize that they don't have to constantly just face forward and fire those guns and try and lock the guy directly in the center of them. But they can shoot someone over here, pick out a target over here, take them out, like spin around, shoot some more people, grab some more targets over here. It's something we're very, very proud of on the Valkyrie team. So yeah, the UI and HUD remain one of our biggest challenges. I lose a lot of sleep over it every night, trying to think about how we can make it better. We want to sell the interface as a living cockpit object. I'm going to try and explain that a little bit, as I have, I suppose, already. But game overlays, they just don't work in VR for me. I just don't want the game to feel like a game. It's an experience, and everything you do should be part of that experience. So that's what we're trying to do today, is try and sell the holographics and sell the interface as a living, breathing piece of your cockpit. The pilot and ship are one entity. So this is also something very important, hence why it's in large text in the middle of the screen. The balance of essential information and visceral feedback. So I'm going to switch on to here, because this is the best example of it, really, that we have. This is in the screenshots we sent out. There is often times where we can replace overlay and HUD with just physical damage to the ship. Now that we're living in this world and we're looking around and we're breathing inside this cockpit, some of the pieces that we have can be replaced with or supported by things. And if you played the demo today and you got shot up, you'll see sparks shooting out and red lights flashing, the glass is cracking on you. It really builds up that sense of panic. We can show the guns overheating, we can show the bullets. These are all things that add to the experience that don't necessarily need traditional HUD aspects. And it's something that's really I think, driving Valkyrie again into becoming its own game, becoming its own thing. So someone asked me about this yesterday. I thought I'd put it in here just in case it was of interest to people. But one of the biggest challenges that we've been thinking of is once the player puts on VR, they can't take it off again. We don't want them to take it off again just to get through menus and things. This game needs to be incredibly accessible, incredibly easy to navigate. So the art team and the content team and people in Newcastle, we're thinking about this a lot just now. How are you going to get through this game in virtual reality? How are we going to also sell, like the interface, the menu systems to get through places? Owen O'Brien talked about loadouts and things yesterday, and ship skins and adding all these things on. We need to find a way, a natural, intuitive way for people to get into this world and be able to make those changes without ever having to check where the keys are or look at the buttons on their controller. It really does rely on the muscle memory of where the controller buttons are. So let's get down to showing you some more art, because I've been rambling quite a bit. The Wraith Mark II, the combination of the Caldari Dragonfly and the Amar Templar. Again, we showed this yesterday. I just want to talk about it in a little more detail. I loved the way the wings outstretched on the front of the Templar. It was one of the best things about EVR. Being able to see all that stuff happening in front of you, you really get a sense of being encased in the ship. But we needed to bring it back to the Caldari. We needed to try and bring it back to the Guristas a little bit. So we decided to combine these two ships into one. And our art director did an amazing job, I think, on combining these ships into what makes the Wraith Mark II. It's a very sexy ship. Does anyone really like it? Good ship? It's got some, It's cool. So, lovely concept art. The Wraith Mark II. So we just made a very simple 3D asset, unfortunately, for it here today. The problem was we really had very little time for Fanfest, and we had to focus on the first-person stuff. So we really wanted to make those wings and those interior wings shine and the cockpit shine as much as possible. So as you only see this whizzing past your face anyway, we just had to blend it down a little bit. But we got the early version of the Wraith Mark II. I promise you, when I get back to Newcastle, I'm going to make this into a very special ship. Little screen grab of the wing interiors there, surrender before we went to put them in the game. Oh. So this is something we didn't actually manage to get in for today, but I thought I'd highlight it and talk a little bit about it. I've always been interested in adding a brake effect, and a lot of the guys are saying to me, "Oh, it'd be great to have this brake effect." So we built in this large reverse thruster into the front of the ship. So I know it's horrible for me to bring this up and talk to you about it right here because you don't get to see it today, but in the final game, we're really hoping that as soon as you brake, you get this incredibly strong sense as this opens up beside you and just bursts flames back the other direction. It's really about trying to sell the perception of speed as much as we can. I think we've done a good job of getting you feeling going fast. I guess it's going to make a good job of making you feel like you're just really slowing down. It's the handbrake. So what about the other ships? Well, as I said at the start, it's terrible for me. I have so much lovely concept art that I could bring to you guys for the other two ships, and I'm not allowed to show them. I'm so sorry. They're so good. I just got one of the new ones yesterday through an email, and I was like, oh, I just want to use this in my presentation. The guys will love it. It's so good. But they're coming soon. We're working on them. As Owen said yesterday, initially the ships, they just didn't have that much difference. They were just a fighter with minor changes. The new ships carry with them unique characteristics. You will feel the difference in every cockpit. Every one will feel like a different place, a different ship. It's not just abilities, it's not just gameplay, it's not just loadout. Physically and visually, every single cockpit is just going to feel like a new world. So I'm going to have a quick run over the environments. The show floor demo is very similar to the EVR we brought last year. We just rebuilt it in UE4. It was a good demo. It's good for the 3-minute demo. We've been working on stuff to try and make this a bigger game, a bolder game, something that lasts longer than the 3 minutes. But we like this. But it's got some cool stuff in it. The broadsiding supercarriers, you can see them lining up next to each other. Reads back to the pirates. Punching your ship through the debris. I hope everyone's doing that. Is everyone just flying around, smashing through stuff, weaving through as much as they can? That's the best part of Valkyrie. That's the bit that is absolutely does it for me. When you're running away from someone, the lights are on, the glass is smashed, like the noises are screaming at you, the missile lock thing's on. There's only one way you're going to get out of this is just to smash through this tiny hole, come out the other side, get back on the attack. The blood red sky. Do people notice the time of day change over the course of the game? It's very subtle. But the show floor demo starts a lot like this. Nice blue nebulas, lovely planet, lovely wrecks. And ends something like this. The closer we get to the end, the more deaths that have happened, the deeper red sky we get. Play it again and notice it. I'm hoping people notice it from now on. It's a lovely effect, it really is. So I'll do a little bit of the science bit. As a famous shampoo advert once said, UE4 has given us the ability to add a lot more to Valkyrie. Deferred rendering means I don't have to take lots of lights out when the angry tech people come to the art bay and say, how many lights did you put in the cockpit? You can have 2. Sorry. That was a lovely lit cockpit with 7. Can you remake that with 2? I'll try. Volumetric fog that accepts lighting. So you'll see in the game thick patches of fog, sunlight bursting through, missiles lighting it up. And so many lovely particles, or particles, as we call them in the office. So many particles. Yeah, and physically based rendering materials. This has been something that's been great as an artist to start digging into. It's definitely the next generation of where things are going. Much cleaner maps, simpler maps that you don't have to tailor towards situational pieces in your game, but just naturally pick up the lighting and the surroundings and the reflections of your environment. I'm still getting to grips with this, really. I think a lot of people in the art pipeline are trying to get their head around this, but it's we're starting to see some incredible results from it. So I'm just going to quickly run you through asset creation, prototype in the hangar, just a little bit. We fail a lot in VR because there are problems. It is difficult. There's no rule book for this. We can't look up anything else. No one else has made a game in VR yet like this. So we have to try and make the rules ourselves. And to do that, we have to do rapid prototyping. We just have to try everything in the game and see if it works. If it fails, you know very, very quickly because your eyes get sore or you're sick or any of these things could happen. So the idea originally behind the hangar was based around, I'm a bit of an architecture nerd, the architecture of Florence and Disneyland queues. That is the 2 main things that built the first EVR hangar. Firstly, the Disneyland queue is an experience. You're waiting to start. You're waiting to get into the game. You're waiting to get into the roller coaster. But the queue is exciting. It has stuff going on. Things are happening. And that's why I wanted the hangar to be. The hangar for me was always this little experience. Give some people time to get used to VR for a start because the kits were so new last year. but also it be part of the game. And the streets of Florence, I spent a lot of time with the art director talking about this because we're nerds. But the streets of Florence are designed to be incredibly tight and incredibly high and cast dark shadows as you walk through, so that when you entered plazas and pavilions, they opened up and burst out in light to make each, the fountains and the public areas seem like these incredible revelations. And that's what the hangar was to me. I wanted to punch people through, down the hangar, and just expose them to space instantly. So the hangar is a really tight, condensed tunnel, and we try and keep people in until the game launches. We fire them out, and so many people came back to me after all the demos we've had and just said, as soon as I get out, as soon as I go over that lip, I just feel it in my stomach. And that reaction is exactly what VR is all about. It's about trying to act psychologically with people, really connect with them in a different way that they couldn't do if we were just playing this on a screen. So I promised I would show this. This is part of rapid prototyping. I asked one of our programmers, Dave, I said, Dave, we really need a holo screen for the launch tube. He went, okay, give me a couple hours. He sends me this back, a topless picture of himself, Nyan Cat, and Comic Sans. You can see it here in action, be it incredibly slowly. Oh well, one frame. Thanks for that, PowerPoint. Single frame. But this is the kind of stuff that rapid prototyping is about, making something quickly. Also keeps me in a job when the executive producer comes back and says, instead of having a holographic screen of naked Dave, can you make us some genuine art for it? So I'm happy with that. This is a little bit of eye candy that Owen O'Brien never got his hands on. Ha! This is some concept stuff for new hangars, very new. We're thinking about it, how we're going to move you, as I said, from the main menus right through into the hangar in one seamless movement. And we've started looking at all these different ways that we can push the ship around a station and just have you come from booting up the game into the hangar, launch out. No need for any other rubbish. But these are beautiful, really nice. And I don't want to leave without adding these round renders that I got from a close friend of mine here in Reykjavik. They're absolutely incredible, I think. I just wanted to show them again. I know you've seen them on posters and rendered up around here, but we asked Reykjavik to help us out with this, and they've made it for the trailer that you'll probably see later. But this is just I couldn't have asked for more. This is perfect. This helmet design is insane. It's old style helmet. It's new style helmet. It's got that VR vision built into it also. I really wanted to pimp this work while I had the opportunity to get up on the big stage here. So just before I go, I'm putting this back up here. If you take one thing away from this presentation, and I know it was a little bit short on art, and I'm very, very sorry for that. But please know that this was such an important couple of months for us as content creators to get our head around how we build this world. It will be better for the fact that we've done this, that we've looked into this stuff, the subcultures, the personal aspects. How are people going to treat their ship? What's their emotional state? What would they do to their cockpit in that emotional state? Would they carve pieces into it? Would they spray paint it? Would they, what's going to build this world? And this in-person perspective thing is exactly it. New Valkyrie is made up of more than just the art, audio, VFX, and design. It's all of these things, but they're constructed with an understanding of psychology and immersion. Our team understand this. Newcastle, I know 100%, every member of that team makes art, makes work, contributes to Valkyrie with this idea. They're making sure that this is an immersive world, a world that you can live in and play in, and you will live this. You are that pilot. You're not playing someone else. You're playing you inside that cockpit. And that is the true Art of Valkyrie. Thank you very much, guys. If you've got any questions, come on up and we can talk. Oh, no. Thank you. I don't know how long I have for questions, actually. A few minutes. If there's any. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask about why did you selected Gurista like the bad guys? Because you have a very good storyline with Sansha Kawaki, and he is enslaving people, he is doing incursions, and he is a perfect candidate to be that guy with Valkyries. And why Gurista?
So the Guristas, as I brought up in the presentation, are really a natural choice just because they've given us a real sense of freedom in the game. They really are an unexplored part of EVE, and we want to explore them. We want to dig into this pirate culture. But when you're talking about characters within Gurista, there is some story stuff that we're going to let you know about over this weekend that I can't go into just now, unfortunately. But just, the Guristas were the perfect choice because it just gave us that element of freedom, that element of being able to take an EVE ship and just destroy it a little bit. You know, just take some of it out and chunk it out a little bit. It didn't keep it, don't have to keep it so fresh. So, you know, it's become, while EVE explores other things in its universe, Valkyrie's going to just take this and just really explore it and let you guys see the Guristas in a new light.
Thank you.
No problem. Hi, Stefan.
Hi. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you, man.
And is EVE Valkyrie going to have high-resolution textures?
It has incredibly high resolution textures. The planet is an 8K texture. It's in the thing today. Yeah.
Thank you.
8K texture. And the cockpit's made of 2K textures. So that texture pack's already in there, in spades, I would say.
Thank you.
One thing I found when experiencing Valkyrie earlier was that I had trouble finding where other pilots were in space, both friendly ones and hostile ones.
Yeah?
Is that something that through art you're going to be making more intuitive?
Absolutely. As I said, there is no rule book for this stuff. And we've had incredible difficulty trying to combine these two things I've spoken about, where we're trying to have real living assets, you know, not a traditional game overlay. There's a lot of traditional radars and things we could have gone with, but we're really trying to explore with the compass, trying to explore something new, trying to see if that works. And yeah, through some of the feedback we're having here, I think we're maybe discovering that it isn't the ideal candidate for the thing. And that's great. It's good to get fresh eyes from everyone here and say if people are having trouble finding people, then we need to rectify that really quickly. So we'll definitely, it's one of the top things I'm going to look at as soon as I get back to work.
Hi. The important question, can we spin our fighter in the hangar
Can you spin your fighter in the hangar?
and have the counter?
Not yet.
Why not?
Have you tried virtual reality before? I don't like, spinning is not something inducibly a good thing in VR often. I mean, if you spin it as much as you spin it in yeah, I think you'd be in for it. You should probably get like a little bucket somewhere. We'll see. I'll see if the VR people are up for that in the office. Thank you.
With all this being virtual reality and being new ground that you're kind of paving and making the book for, what has been some of the most difficult aspects in 3D modeling and tackling PBR and getting it into the Unreal Engine?
PBR is really just that's just a mindset change I think a lot of artists are going through right now as they try to understand and get to grips with it. It's just a new style of doing things. So That's something that everyone's really approached. And yeah, as I've been saying, and the thing, it's not so much a change in pipeline or modeling, but more just changing the mindset that you're doing to make the assets. You know, you really have to just think about the way that all the things around you that were maybe previously hidden, and you would have lower on your texture maps, or you maybe use a normal map for it instead of actually making geometry. Sometimes you just have to go that extra mile and put that geometry in, or you know, keep your texel density up as much as possible, because everything around your character is viewable, it's visible. They can look right down and see all the screws and the bolts and all the bits and pieces. And it's getting into that mindset. It's changing the way that we are, you know, are looking at making the assets from a visual point of view, and from trying to get it in the in-person perspective. Don't want to keep banging on about it, but
Just a quick follow-up to that then. What is your polygon counts for your interior models for these ships? Because if you're modeling everything that you're seeing, this is going to start adding taxing on computer systems. Yeah,
we definitely blew the budget for Fanfest big time. If it's going to be a bigger game, there's nowhere we'll get away with what we've got just now. But the side wings weigh in at about, like, I think they're about 10K. The cockpit's coming in around 22 or 23. The pilots, a couple of thousand as well. So before we even get any environment done, we're probably around 30K. It's not too bad. It's okay, but we need to keep an eye on this stuff in future. Thank you.
I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but it's a follow-up to the spinning ships in station question. Are we going to be able to spin the ships in space?
Yes. Do you know what's really cool? Do you know what I like to do? Try this. If you go and play Valkyrie tomorrow, there's like a big like circular cloud on the planet. I sometimes just boost and dive towards it and spin the ship. And shout, ah!
Yeah, I know you can roll it around that axis, but I meant about the other axis.
Spin it this way?
Yeah, or vertically.
Guys are desperate to be sick. Really, everyone wants to make himself a little ill.
You're in space, there's no reason why it should fly like a plane.
Okay. I think I'm probably out of time. I'm really in fact, is it a quick question?
Yes, very quick question.
Thank you. Okay.
Any chance of mountable fuzzy dice or a Garister's bobblehead I can put in my cockpit?
That's a really good question. No, we're currently, as a team, trying to decide where this thing kind of lies. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to go down the fuzzy dice route. I don't think we're going to go around the bobblehead route and stuff. But I would love for people to be able to put things inside their cockpit. As I was saying, the personalization of that cockpit is incredibly important to me. It's something I really want everyone to be able to make it feel like their own place. We haven't quite decided as a group yet how we're going to achieve that. But maybe not fuzzy dice, but we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Cheers.